Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFL with Kyle. Man, I feel disgusted with what I just saw, and um, I'm gonna just give you 20 minutes. Obviously, I'll have a more in-depth recap later, but the Broncos fall to the Chargers 23-20 on Sunday afternoon. Just moments ago, when Cameron Dicker converted on a 43-yard field goal as time expired, and the Chargers improved to 3-0 with the win, and Denver drops to 1-2. And what kills me about this the most is, like, number one, the penalties, and we'll get to that. But number two is the people that overreact to everything that goes on in the beginning of the season. And when I say that, I mean, we lost last week because of a leverage penalty. Now, you can't really always put it on one specific play, but had they not committed a penalty, they would be 2-0. And that was a very weird penalty. Regardless, I'm not here to debate that. I'm just here to say that they would be 2-1 at this point and not 1-2. And then today, the penalties, they continue to be a problem with this team. And the Broncos are starting to become this team that cannot hang on to a lead. And it was weird because I never felt this way really last year. We had this same kind of similar thing. Now, look, I also want to say this, that I'm going to go with the negative stuff first because it's a fresh loss, and that's naturally the stronger emotion. But there's also some good. Okay, so the penalties, they absolutely cost us the game, and I'm starting to feel the way I felt with Russell Wilson. Not saying that this is anything close to that. All I'm saying is that feeling that you would get even if you were ahead in a game, that somehow, no matter what it takes, your team's going to find a way to lose the game, right? Because there's teams that find ways to win games, and then there's teams that find ways to lose games. And then there's teams that can't do either, right? They're so bad that they're never ahead to blow a loss. We're not that type of a team. I think we're a really good football team, but we have a lot of room for improvement, which puts us in that second tier of a team that has amazing potential to be a great football team, but they're not operating that way right now. And why it's so frustrating is because the way other people are going to view our team after this is like, it takes what happened last week and it just adds to it. It adds to it, and it's killing me. And my number one guy that I just want to call out right now, if there's one person that, it's never one person responsible for a loss, but if there was one person responsible for this loss, it's Adam Trautman. Adam Trautman. He must have had the worst football game I have ever seen from him since he's been a Denver Bronco. The Broncos come out and their offense is stale. They go 3 and out. They end up having an offsides penalty on a punt defensively. So Denver goes 3 and out. They have to give the ball to the Chargers. Our defense, this is after the Chargers already scored 3. Our defense does a really good job, right? They go out there, they get a 3 and out. They're feeling good about themselves. It's 4th and 4. Chargers are going to punt it, give the ball back to Denver, and all of a sudden, there's a flag on the play. And you're thinking, oh my God, what is this? It's offsides on Nick Bonito on the punt. You're like, are you kidding me? How does that happen? How are you offsides on a punt? Like, you line up, you're a defender, you know exactly the drill. And yet this happens and it gives the Chargers another possession. Now, this happened throughout the football game where and I said it when I was live streaming the game. I said, we actually beat the Chargers in this game. But the Chargers took advantage of the extra opportunities that we gave them. It was our fault that they even had the opportunities. And yeah, good football teams like the Chargers capitalize on those opportunities. But they didn't beat us without those extra opportunities that we continued to give them over and over and over. You have the offsides penalty, right? Thankfully, Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper get a sack to have the Chargers punt the ball again. The Chargers end up punting it to us, and guess what? Another 3 and out. The Broncos offense was very stale to start this game. It was actually 3 and outs in a row, if I'm not mistaken. These are my notes. I'm pretty sure that's the way it went. And then we give the ball back to the Chargers. And I thought that Denver's first down and second down defense was really solid. Their third down defense, I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me. And I don't really care about doing that because, yes, I could be one of those guys that pulls up the numbers and gives it to you. But I want to tell you how the game felt more than, because numbers can lie. It felt like there were a lot of times in the first half, not so much the second half, but in the first half, it felt like there were a lot of times that the Chargers were in a position to have to punt it, but somehow they convert on third down. If it was 3rd and 8, they threw it, a 9-yard catch to Ladd McConkey. If it was 3rd and 13, it was a 14-yard completion to Ladd McConkey. It was like, and it was crazy because it was like on these throws where Justin Herbert drops back on third down, pressures there immediately. Herbert throws it, and there's a window this big, and somehow it comes down as a completion. Those were the ones that I'm not so upset about because I'm like, that's a perfect defense, and that was just perfect offense. And that only happened a couple times. The other ones was some of the same stuff we saw last week where there's a blitz coming in. Denver defensively says, hey, let's switch it up. Let's bring pressure from the left side. We'll run a zone blitz. But then in pursuit of trying to mix things up, they leave Gadsden wide open on a 10-yard catch down the sideline. The next very play, he has a 15-yard catch. So that continued the drive. Then Gadsden gets that 15-yard catch. That was the play where pressure was coming from the left, and freaking Herbert was like, oh, there's nobody over there. Toss, gives the ball to him, and he ends up turning it upfield on us. And it's like, how is that happening? Now, we've had this happen. It feels like this has been going on since Russell Wilson's first season in Denver. Okay? That's just the way it feels to me. The way it feels to me is that we, for the life of us, cannot get our linebackers to cover the flat route or the intermediate. If they're, God forbid, there's a gifted tight end like Tyler Warren, he's going to go for 150 yards. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Like, the fact that we don't have anything better in Justin Chernod and Alex Singleton, I guess they're good at stopping the run because they're good enough to not get exposed every single play. But at the same time, it feels like, gosh, there's only one weak link in our defense, and it's this specific position. Now, that's not why we lost the game either, but that's part of it. And then you get the offense gets the ball back, okay? And this is what I wanted to really talk about, okay? Denver could not get a first down in the first quarter of this game because their average third down was 3rd and 12. It was 3rd and 19, 3rd and 20. Why? Because of penalties. Who? Adam Trotman. Adam Trotman had a holding penalty on Trotman, and that was, aside from the holding penalty, there was another third down in the game where Bo Nix had pressure coming, and somehow he was able to throw a beautiful ball coming across on the flat. I don't know if it was Mims or Franklin, but it was designed so that Trotman would get, ahead of Mims and become the lead blocker. So he catches it, and Trotman blocks the first guy. And if Trotman makes this block, it's a first down. But instead, he doesn't. He's looking around for somebody while the guy he's supposed to be blocking for is being tackled by the guy he was supposed to be blocking. It was like his spatial awareness on the field, his timing with the offense, it was all over the place in a bad way. I mean, this wasn't even the only time. I mean, there was multiple penalties by Adam Trotman. And even on the last drive, like, not to just jump to the end of the game, but on the very last drive that the Broncos had, Bo Nix had a scramble on 3rd and 14 and picked up 13. And Denver elected not to go for it and say, no, we're going to trust our defense. part of me was like, this is why we lose games, is because we never have the balls. And this is exactly why Bo Nix wanted to go for 2 in the Bengals game. It's the exact reason why I felt in my gut that the right thing to do, no matter how our defense has been playing. Didn't you guys collectively feel this? Tell me, as a Broncos country, did you feel as soon as we punted that football that you just knew in your gut that the Chargers were going to score? And why is that? Because that is the only reason that I thought they need to go for it. I'm like, the only way Denver is going to, I don't want to call it a spirit or a curse or whatever this spirit of fear is. It's like we're afraid of losing more than we are into winning, right? That's why we don't make any of these bold decisions ever. We don't want to go for 2 because what if we lose? We don't want to go for it on 4th and 1 because what if we don't get it? Okay. I feel like we're not going to get past this until we stop playing with a spirit of fear and a spirit of power and a sound mind. We need to go out there being confident in who we are and say, if we need 1 yard to win the game, we're the team that's going to go and pick it up. There are under no circumstances will we not be able to get 1 yard. It's us against them. And we have been running the football down their throat the entire second half. Now, if Denver turns the ball over on downs, we have one of the best, if not the best, red zone defense. They had been showing up all day for you. And if you gamble like that, it almost, to me, feels like our defense would rather be in a position where they feel like they're playing with house money because you put them in a bad situation. So now they mentally feel like they're coming out and playing savior, just like that first game of the season when there was the muffed punt by Marvin Mims. And you thought, oh no, this is the turning point. And our defense got back-to-back sacks. And even though they recovered the football on the 21-yard line, the Titans would go on to punt the football because we took them with those sacks out of field goal range. Our defense loves being put in these situations. They rise to the occasion. Okay. You know what our defense doesn't rise to the occasion is when we punt the ball on 4th and 1 and we tell them, don't let them score. Right? It brings up bad feelings. It brings up whatever that juju is, that feeling of deja vu or here we go again. I felt like what we needed to break the monotony of all of this was for Denver to say we trust not only our offense enough to get 1 yard, but if we don't, we trust our defense enough to not give up a touchdown. Because at that point in the game, a field goal wasn't going to cut it. Now I get it. If we were only up 3 points, you punt the football because you don't just give them the field goal. You're giving them the tie. But you're up a touchdown. I mean, you give them the ball in that position, you tell our defense, don't give up the touchdown. You've been doing it all day. And I feel like our defense would have risen to the occasion. Now, I know they say hindsight's 2020, just like Sean said after the game, he had no regrets. But then on Monday or Wednesday, he was like, no, maybe, looking back on it, we should have gone for 2. Look, these moments are going to keep happening. But we have to change our identity in those moments. I really do feel that way. I feel that we are going to only get this monkey off our back when we stop playing with fear. Okay. There was 3 different passes today that were outside of the hands of Mims. There was one going down the end zone. Now this was a huge play. It was a flea flicker and Bo Nix. This was the spark that we needed. This would have been the first big play of the game. And Bo Nix throws the ball and in slow motion, the ball is hitting Marvin Mims' fingertips, but it's a little far. And we can all agree it's a little far. Well, I don't know why he didn't dive for the ball. Now, I don't know if he would have caught it if he did dive for the ball. And sometimes when players dive out full speed like that, they end up knocking the wind out of them or they injure themselves, right? We just saw Jaden Reed on Thursday night go all out for a ball and dislocate his shoulder in the process. So I'm not saying he should have. I'm not saying he shouldn't have. I'm just saying something I noticed. Maybe he would have caught it if he dove. I don't know. But then later in this game, you saw another Marvin Mims ball going another touchdown, right outside the fingertips of Marvin Mims. And you're going, how did that happen again? Another one right outside the fingertips. And then the final drive of the game, Cortland Sutton, right? It's third down or no, this was like our very last drive. I think it was second down or first down, but Denver took a shot and they threw it to Marvin Mims down the sideline, second down, I believe. And it was about a 50-yard bomb, and it's right outside the fingertips of Cortland Sutton. And these throws, man, not only do we win the game if these throws are on target, but you're talking about 21 points taken off the board. How many times did we settle for 3 because Troy Franklin drops the ball in the end zone? You might say it didn't matter anyway because there was a penalty on who? You're right. Take your pick. Garrett Bowles, another flag from Adam Trotman. I mean, every time there was either a missed assignment or a momentum, a step back momentum wise, it was Adam Trotman. I mean, I have never seen him play such a terrible football game. The penalties were killers. They were just boneheaded penalties. And I'm thinking by the end of this game, I'm going, get him out of this game. Like, it is clearly not his day. Why are you still playing him? I'm so disappointed in this team overall because they played so good defensively. Now, they had 5 sacks at one point. I don't know if they ended up with 6 or if they ended up with 5, but at one point in the fourth quarter, they had 5 sacks in this game. When a defense gets you 5 sacks and they these are the games you guys have to win. You have to take advantage of how good your defense is playing. You punt on the first 4 drives of this game, and then late in the second quarter, Denver's offense comes to life. Right, the 4th and 2. This is exactly what I'm talking about. 4th and 2 on your own 48-yard line, and Bo Nix throws a 52-yard touchdown to Cortland Sutton, make it 10-7 going into halftime, and then they score on the opening drive. Right, they kick off the third quarter with a 3-play, 66-yard scoring drive, all coming from J.K. Dobbins, who scored on a 19-yard catch and run. But think about this. All of the momentum sparked because we didn't play with fear. We didn't go for it on 4th and 2 just to run the football. We went for it on 4th down to take advantage of a possible touchdown, and we took a shot, and it paid off big time because that's how you win football games. That's how you beat a team like the Chargers. It changed everything. And when Denver really needed to muster that type of confidence one more time, we punted it. And on the ensuing kickoff, right, Denver, Jonah Ellis forced the fumble. And then J.L. Skinner recovered the fumble. 4 plays later, Will Lutz converted a 42-yard field goal. Now, this is one that should have resulted in a touchdown, but of course it didn't. And then the Chargers drive down to the 6-yard line. Then they have to settle for a field goal, but it's still 17-13. And then Lutz, again, because of the penalties and the drops, they have to settle for another field goal. I mean, the Broncos had a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter with not, 4 minutes left in this game. And they just could not seal the deal. I just don't understand the penalties. I don't understand Hufanga throwing a player down when the whistle has clearly been blown. The play is over. There's no doubt about it. Everybody knew that the play was over, and Hufanga picks up a player and body slams him onto the ground. These are mental mistakes. I'm so infuriated with the mental mistakes. Infuriated with the mental mistakes because ultimately this is a really good football team, and I said I would leave it on a positive note. I am going to be doing a much better deep dive later. This is more emotional than like statistical, but look, our defense is really good at times, and what I've found is that we're playing sound football for the majority of the game. It's a couple moments per game that The defense is missing an assignment, and it tends to be the linebacker position. The other thing is our pass rush is going to our pass rush alone is going to put us in position to win a lot of football games. Like we're going to be in, it's a 17 game year. Like at least 15 of our games are going to be very close. Sometimes you have a game or here that you get blown out. Last year it was Buffalo, but we're going to have an opportunity. Our defense is going to give us the opportunity to win every single week. But what we've saw this week and last week was that our defense did give us a chance to win. Maybe the defense could have played better last week. They gave up 316 yards to Daniel Jones, but that offense is turning out to actually be good in real life. So all I'm saying is what cost us the game? Penalties, leverage, a penalty I didn't agree with, but who gives a crap? Because the record, it doesn't change whether you agree or disagree. We should have been 2-0, and today we should be 3-0. A couple of penalties and decisions changed everything. And this team needs to realize when you have players that are going to pick up Hufanga and slam Keenan Allen on the ground when the play is over and give up 15 yards, if you're going to do that, then why not go for it on 4th and 1, right? You basically, after that play, you put them right where you were at anyway. It's just so boneheaded. And it's like, oh God, it kills me. It kills me. And plus, Riley Moss too just has, I don't know, he's not off to the best start. Sometimes he's making amazing plays. And it does seem that at times, the coverage is so good by Riley Moss, and yet he's getting beat. And you're almost like, how can you be mad at him? The coverage is so close, but it keeps happening, right? And then that's getting really frustrating as well. Overall, this was a team that a lot of people thought was a top 5 team. I don't feel like they are, because we almost beat them. And I don't feel like we're a top 5 team right now. And almost is worth nothing. So maybe they are top 5. And maybe that's why they won at the end of this game. But I felt the same way about the Colts. They thought, oh, the Colts are a top 5 team because look what they did to Denver's defense. And I'm like, our defense wasn't good. And it's like I'm losing my measuring stick. I don't know anymore what to think. I don't know if we're actually a really good team that's just falling short in the last moments of games, or if we're closer to average and that's why we keep losing. Now, my gut tells me when I watch this defense come up with 13 sacks in the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of football, that it tells me that we have a really good football team. When we have the defensive player of the year and we add Hufanga and Brandon Jones today with a pick on a tip drill, it tells me that we have a really good football team. If we can clean up the mistakes, and remember, last year at this point, we had 2 losses. We got 2 losses at this point this season. All right? It is what it is. Did it define our season last year? No, it didn't. But we had to have one impressive win, and that kind of sparked the whole thing. Our one win right now, it doesn't feel like an impressive one against Tennessee. And then we lose 2 in a row, so we got bad vibes right now. And at least you could say at this point last year that there were good vibes in Denver. We felt good. We just beat the crap out of Tampa Bay. Bo Nix had a great game. The defense was all out. Riley Moss had an interception. There was a fumble recovery. That game was insane, right? Right now, I feel like Denver just wasted their momentum game. This would have been the perfect game to just here you go. Here's the Bengals on Monday night with Jake Browning. Beat the living crap out of them in front of your own fans. And on primetime TV, now you're first in the AFC West. The whole entire nation's watching you play, and everything is different. But now we're 1-2. We got no momentum going into a game with the Bengals, who have nothing to lose. They have a better record than us somehow without Joe Burrow for 2 of their games. Now they're coming into Denver, and we have to make a statement next week, right? I said it. It's gut check time. It is. And people that say, well, we were 1-2 at this point last year. Yes, but we had good momentum at this point. And right now, things are not great, which is crazy because we shouldn't be in this position. But here we are. This is where we're at, and we got to make the most of it, right? Cincinnati Bengals are coming into Mile High on Monday night. You know what will change everything is getting back to 500 and doing it by dominating a Bengals team on national TV. And then good luck, because then you're going to Philly the week after that. You're going to Philly and you're playing a Chargers team, and that is an Eagles team that is coming off of a loss, right? Hopefully they win next week, or they're going to be desperate for a win when they play us. But it shouldn't matter, right? We should be good enough to beat them no matter what kind of mood they're in. All I'm trying to say is we shouldn't have put ourselves in this position, right? We should have been in a position where we could afford to lose to the Eagles, because we'll be 4-1, you know, or yeah, we would have been 4-1 or whatever the case is. But now we really got to fix, and Sean's been saying it all offseason. It is a race to see who can fix the mistakes, right? Week 1, here's your list of mistakes, and the best teams are the ones that, you know, spend 2 weeks and they fix everything. There's other teams that spend the whole rest of the season, they don't fix any of their mistakes. We need to see Denver look a lot different next week, and it's going to be hard to judge, because it's like, are they looking better because they're playing the Bengals and not the Chargers? Or, you know, did they actually improve? And I'm just at the point where I'm like, I don't want to see Adam Trautman anymore. I want our players to play a bigger role that we signed. I know Greenlaw's on IR now, which I'm not against the decision. You know, as long as he's going to help us compete for the Super Bowl and he's going to be fully healthy by the end of the year. But man, this is a bummer. This is 2 weeks in a row that we are having no victory Monday, and we have no one to blame besides ourselves. And hopefully that doesn't turn into something worse. And I think that's my message, if I'm Sean Payton, to the Denver Broncos, is this is a very delicate point in the season. Okay. Now, what you do next, be very careful, because it changes everything. If you want to sulk on this and feel bad for yourself and what could have been, should have been, the season's going to slip away from you, and it's going to happen like that. All you need to do is start winning football games. Don't overthink it. We got the Bengals coming up next on Monday Night Football. Let's prepare, have a good week of practice. But seriously, like, let's stop losing football games that we won, right? We have to stop doing it to ourselves. If we get beat like we got beat in Baltimore last week, all right. But I'm tired of losing like this. This is no way to lose. No way to lose. God, these are gut-wrenching, and I'm just ready to be on the other side of these. And I think the secret sauce to getting there is to stop playing scared, just like the end of the first half when Sean said 4th and 2, let's throw a deep ball to Courtland Sutton. Touchdown. Change everything. That was the turning point of this whole football game. And the second turning point was punting the ball on 4th and 1. I will be back with a deeper dive in the future, but I will see you guys in a little bit. And if you go to the Only Football Podcast, you will see me there. As always, go Broncos.